Hey, you guys. Thank you for coming back for part 3. The irony is, at the end of part 2, I said, oh, I'm going to wait to do the last part. And while I did in physical time, you may be watching this immediately after. I probably will end up posting them mostly together. I just needed to take a break because the parts 1 and part 2 went on for so much longer than I anticipated them going for. As you can see, I'm wearing my glasses, the glasses that I talked about in part 1, when I talked about how different spirits can give you different answers. So this is the pair that my divine masculine's higher self told me he would prefer, and sure enough, he himself also told me that. He liked both, but he liked these a little bit better. And I have to show you since I talked about it. And this is the pair that I slightly preferred. And I ended up getting both because, like I told you, Jesus told me to get both because I slightly preferred this pair, he slightly preferred this pair. And in actuality, I'm glad that I have both because these are a little heavier and get old faster, so to speak, and I'm ready to switch. So I thought it was hilarious when that happened, and since I happen to be wearing my glasses, I wanted to show you since I used that example. I actually thought of something else a little while ago. I had started talking about galactic beings, and then I went on a tangent explaining the different types of spirits and the different dimensions and densities that they're in, and like what type of information they tell you because of that. And then I never finished what I meant to say about the galactic beings. So I used the examples of like the elementals and entities and whatnot, and spirits in the 4th density, ghosts in the 4th density also, then higher selves in like the 5th and higher, galactic beings in the 6th through the 9th, then angels and our souls not incarnated, and then the ascended masters. So galactic beings are, one of the things that I had said in that video when I was talking about it, go back and watch if you haven't seen them already, and you'll have a little bit more understanding of what I'm getting at. But I was talking about how when you are seeking out spiritual guidance, whether you're asking yourself or you're using an advisor, this hair is fantastic, let me just tell you. You will get different answers depending on which spirits you're talking to. I started this whole thing by explaining that I believe that when you are seeking out spiritual guidance, if you are speaking to your spirit guides who only have your best interests at heart and they're of the highest light, then they're going to tell you what you need to hear in that moment. And it may or may not be the 100% most accurate truth, because they're trying to help you follow your soul path, and they're not necessarily concerned about the 3D aspects of what's happening in your life at that moment. So trying to demand answers about what's happening in the 3D could just backfire on you, because like I said, spirit is not going to tell you what you're not supposed to know yet, and they are going to tell you what you need to know to follow your highest timeline and your soul path. Now, then I went on to explain how, a lot of, depending on, it's usually going to be that you're either working with readers who you either don't know who they're connecting to, or they might not even know who they're connecting to, or not being careful about it, or you are doing the connecting yourself, but you don't realize to be careful about it. So sometimes other spirits can be the ones talking to you, and depending on which spirits they are and where they're coming from, which density dimension they're from, they may or may not have your best interests at heart also. So that was what I was getting at. Now, I don't need to repeat everything I discussed in that first video when I was just talking about this. Pretty sure it was part 1. But I do want to finish my thought process about the galactic beings. So you have the obvious reasons to be concerned when it comes to 4th density beings. I mean, Okay, so let me finish my thought before I go on more tangents. With any fourth density being the elementals, the entities, all that stuff, like, you know, they're only one step up from the 3D. So they're the furthest away from source, and they're going to tell you what they want to tell you. I mean, I would trust elementals of the light more than I would trust entity. I wouldn't trust entities at all. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. But let me throw out one more example there. We have our 4D higher selves and we have our 5D higher selves. It could be higher than 5D because I believe we have different versions of our higher self with each density and dimension. Just going closer and closer back to source and back to where our soul, our oversoul resides in the 11th dimension. But just focusing on primarily the 4D versus 5D or higher. 4D, remember I talked about the devil on the shoulder and the angel on the shoulder. The 4D is closer to the devil on the shoulder. 4D it's your higher self, but it still has your ego center connected to it. Whereas 5D and higher is just your soul, just your higher self. It does not have those lower energies and lower emotions and ego center influencing it. Okay, so you can get different answers from your 4D self versus your 5D self or your twin flames. I came to realize this from working with clients who were telling me that they were talking to their higher selves or somebody else's higher self, and they were getting the attitude. They were getting like responses that had attitude in them almost. And I said, are you talking to their 5D higher self or their 4D? Because I wouldn't think you would get attitude from like their 5D higher self. And sure enough, she went back and she clarified, I want to speak to the 5D higher self instead of the 4D. And the higher self, the spirit that came through, was much more, I don't even know what the right word is, but you know, they were of that higher demeanor is the only thing I can think of, like calm, at peace, in divine love, all those types of things. Whereas the 4D self was like, listen, girl, that kind of attitude. So you can get different answers that way too. When I am seeking out information, you know, like I'm just going to use the example concerning myself or my twin flame, although why would it be myself? My twin flame usually. If I want to know something that more specific to something that is happening in his world in this moment, in the 3D reality, I might ask his 4D self instead of his 5D self, because his 4D self is more connected to his conscious awareness right now. And yes, his ego center, but I'm not looking for that aspect. I'm more so looking at just like what he's presently dealing with or interacting with or whatever. 5D self, I'm asking what's the best thing to know or to do or whatever concerning him. Like maybe I'm asking like if I should send him a certain message or something like that. And I ask his 5D self, is it a good time? Should I send this? That type of stuff. I'm not necessarily going to ask his 4D that. But you see what I'm saying? That's one example of what I could use those differences for. And the main purpose of explaining this is just for you to understand that you can get different answers depending on who and what you're talking to. And sometimes that's helpful, like when you understand it and you go by like what I'm explaining, where I understand that there's a purpose to asking the 4D self and there's a purpose to asking the 5D self, etc., etc. But if you don't understand that, you might get confused by the answers you're getting, or you might get answers that are seemingly wrong based on truths that you know or what's happening in the 3D reality, because you might be getting either the 4D self might be even lying to you, or the 5D self, it wants you to do something else and so is ignoring whatever is really happening or something like that. You know what I mean? So anyway, the main purpose here is understanding that you can and will get different answers, and it makes a big difference. So when you are seeking out spiritual guidance from psychics or by asking yourself, all of these things matter. All of these things make an important, significant difference in the answers that you will get and the guidance that you will receive. So I don't feel that there's anything wrong with getting psychic spiritual guidance, but I do think it's very important to understand all of these different things about where the information could be coming from, trusting who it's getting it and how they're receiving it, because of all of the possibilities of infiltration and interference and negative influences, or even just different influences. I know I started to say that in the first video that I believe that the angels tell you what you need to hear, and period. Like, they don't even take a whole ton of consideration into what's really happening. I mean, they do, but their focus is kind of solely on helping you follow your soul path, even, and telling you what you need to hear, whether or not it's what you're asking, and whether or not it's what you want to hear, but they'll phrase it in a way that you think it's what you want to hear. I believe that the Ascended Masters are more likely to tell you the honest truth, but again, they will test you, they will test your discernment, and they will still be pushing you in the direction of your soul path. So it's how the message will come through that will be different. Your soul is probably, your soul and your higher selves are probably the most likely to give you the most accurate, but then again, there's the difference between the 4D higher self and the 5D higher self. Now, anyway, going back to the galactic beings, like I brought up in the first place. So when it comes to spiritual teachers, I mean, I don't know. I suppose some people might ask galactic beings about their individual lives and paths. I don't even know how their answers would be, because I have not asked that or done that. And I personally don't see why you would, because you should just be asking your higher selves or your angels or spirit guides or the spiritual beings that you work directly with. I suppose if you work directly with a galactic being, okay, then it makes sense. And they are probably going to tell you what they're seeing for you, since they're one of your spirit guides. But I'm bringing up the spirit guides more so in the context of the learning from spiritual teachers about everything going on in the world and spiritual concepts and all that stuff. So one of the things that I learned is that, remember I talked in the first video about how galactic beings are the same as us. They are souls incarnated into bodies, living lives in different worlds. We can't see them because they exist in different densities and dimensions that vibrate at other frequencies, the same way that animals can see and hear different frequencies that humans can't. So galactic beings are not really spirits. They're not like angels, souls, higher selves, I should say. They're not like angels or higher selves or ascended masters. They are souls incarnated into bodies, just the same. It's just that their body is different from ours. So therefore we can't see them. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of spiritual teachers and readers who channel from galactic beings instead of from angels, ascended masters, or higher selves. And the galactic beings have a different perspective than the other group I said. Because the galactic beings are giving the perspective based on the world that they're from and the knowledge that they are aware of and have, I'm going to say the knowledge that they have learned, but I don't know, if they have memories of all of their soul lifetimes or not. Like, we know that we don't. So I don't know for sure. And I'm sure it also depends on the different type of galactic being as well. So they have their own knowledge and wisdom from their experiences, but it's based on their level of soul development as well. And it's based on, the worlds that they're from and what it's like and the worlds that they're from and things like that. So that is something that is very important to realize and understand when you are receiving any information, whether yourself or through an advisor, from galactic beings, if they are giving you a perspective based on their experiences, it would be the same thing as, let's just focus on the human world, on Earth. If you go to like a Native American chief or shaman or something like that, going to them and seeking out wisdom from them is kind of not that different from going out and seeking information from a galactic being. The difference is simply that one is of Earth and one is of a different galactic world. But they're the same in that they are souls incarnated into bodies, and they're speaking from their own experiences and knowledge and wisdom. An example that I can give you that is important to remember, well, this example I think is important, but as an example, it's important that you can then, why do I not know how to say this? I guess you could say extrapolate to all other examples. Okay, anyway, there is a very widespread belief that you can't eat meat or animal products if you're spiritual, and that you won't ascend, or you won't ascend the right way or something like that if you eat meat and animal products. And you can find a lot of different information about that, but it is very common to hear that from spiritual teachers. Now, it is true that you are, like, your vibration varies somewhat from the foods that you eat, and eating higher frequency foods makes a difference. But you can get higher frequency animal products as well, because like it depends on how the animal is treated and if they are injected with hormones and antibiotics and that type of thing too. But the humane treatment is a big one, of course. So you can find information about all of that stuff in terms of like the light frequency quotients for foods. I'm not going to go into depth in that. I just wanted to specify that like there's a difference between like just going to the grocery store and buying the cheapest animal products versus buying higher quality animal products that they've been humanely treated and they have not been, injected with things. And then there's variations in produce and all of the other stuff as well. So all of that does make a difference in the light quotient you're consuming. But my main point here is you can also find from communications with like Jesus and spiritual beings that it has also been channeled from him that that's not 100% accurate. Like, yes, it makes a difference to some extent, but we are not required to be vegetarian or vegan in order to ascend, because that's not what life is like on Earth. That's not what the rules are for Earth. I specifically asked him about this and about certain statements made by certain spiritual teachers. And he told me specifically, like, I don't remember his exact quote because it was a while ago, but he specifically explained to me that the person who I was asking and what she said, she was saying that because it was coming from the Arcturians that she was channeling from, and that they were speaking from their experiences in Arcturus and in their world where they are from. And he's like, that is not the same for Earth. Earth has its own different set of rules and all of that. So it's important to understand that a lot of spiritual teachers, things that they say, it's coming from whoever they're channeling from. And if they're channeling from galactic beings, like that example, the Arcturians, it's not necessarily 100% accurate for Earth. And not everybody realizes that either. And just one more quick comment about, the diets. The diets are a complex issue anyway. I have learned a lot about just people's bodies. Blood types require different diets, so to speak, nutrients. Certain blood types can more easily be vegetarian or vegan versus other blood types. The carnivore diet is like, a lot of people thrive off of the carnivore diet for reasons pertaining to their body chemistry. So it really is, everybody needs to just be very cautious of being judgmental about people's diets because, excuse me, it's not as cut and dry as what many want to believe. There are a lot of different factors involved based on our physical bodies and on the earth rules, and nobody is like going to hell for eating animals or something like that. There's nothing wrong with eating animals. It's a circle of life. And it's part of their soul contracts as well. The last thing I want to say about that, besides, the being open-minded and cognizant of all of the different perspectives on that, would be that as we are ascending, as our bodies are integrating our crystalline energy and crystalline light body, our bodies are subtly, slowly changing as well. And so your physical body, as it's ascending and upgrading, you're going to experience subtle changes over time. And you will find that your diet will naturally change. Not just your diet, other things too. Other aspects of your body processes and systems. But just speaking of diet, you will find that certain things don't agree with you anymore. They don't even taste the same to you anymore. You will stop wanting or craving different things. And sometimes it might be a choice, and sometimes it might just be a natural process. So I don't think that that's something that you really need to worry about either, because I have found from my own experience that you will naturally go through whatever changes are going to happen anyway. I'm using myself as an example. I'm a foodie and I love delicious food. I'm just gonna say it like that. I love delicious food. And it's one of the things when we were talking about I think it was the second video with the fifth house about bringing joy and happiness into your life. I even discussed this with Spirit. Like, okay, I'm going to make myself happy. One of the things that makes me happy and brings joy into my life on a daily basis is eating delicious, amazing food, because I'm a foodie and that's one of the things that I love. Like, some people like to vacation, some people like to go clubbing, whatever. People like their own things. I love to eat amazing food, and that's not something I'm giving up easily. What I have found, though, is that over time, my tastes have naturally changed. Like, if it's healthy, I haven't turned away from it. And I haven't, my taste buds haven't changed to not like it anymore if it's something that's healthy. And a lot of that type of food is anyway. But I have found that things that aren't necessarily as healthy, I am not wanting as much, not craving as much, or even they disagree with me now and I can't even eat them anymore. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because rather than it being forced on me, whether I feel like Spirit is forcing it on me or people are through their opinions and judgment, instead my taste buds and my cravings and all that stuff have naturally evolved, and I just simply don't want it anymore. It doesn't bother me anymore because it doesn't taste the same. So anyway, so I just wanted to use that example because I think that there's a lot of conversation around that is unnecessary between judgments as well as stressing or worrying about it. And I fully expect that as I continue to ascend, I will continue to evolve in my diet. But I even outright told Spirit, I'm not giving that up. You can't make me. I love it and I'm eating it. But anyway, okay, so those were the comments that I wanted to make that I remembered going into the last video here. I'm going to primarily focus on the last cards that I told you about, the Akashic Records for the collective right now and the Oracle of the Seven Energies for the collective right now. But just let's do a quick recap, okay? So in the first two videos, I really took my time going through the channeled messages. if you recall, or if you haven't seen it yet and you need to go back and watch, I started with the Black Moon Astrology Oracle to ask Spirit for guidance for the Twin Flame Collective right now at the beginning of the Chinese New Year, and the 222 portal for gateway, excuse me, for February. And then I discovered that it actually goes all the way through to the Equinox. Magenta Pixie talks about a Trinity bridge between the 222 and the Equinox on 322. And of course, I didn't even discuss this in the first videos because I wasn't thinking and forgot, but we also have the lunar eclipse this upcoming Friday, I believe. And then there's another partial solar eclipse that will be with the full moon 2 weeks later. So we literally have lunar eclipse, equinox, partial solar eclipse. And bam, 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 plus the 222 gateway, and the energy, and the Chinese New Year started at the beginning of February. So there's lots of stuff happening. That doesn't even count the astrological transits. Mercury retrograde starts in like a week or so. We're probably in the shadow period now, or will be soon. So lots. Venus retrograde is also happening. Lots and lots of energies. I know Divine Energy Works is who I go to look at the astrological transits and how they're affecting us, because I'm not an astrology expert. And she has great information there if you want to know more about that. But there's a lot going on energetically, and I wanted to hear from Spirit, well, what is it that we need to focus on? And Spirit, I already knew that a lot of people were really going through it. January and February, I was hearing from a lot of different people, like, let's just say dark nights of the soul, because I don't like to repeat myself, even though I end up repeating myself a lot. But they're just going through it with the purging, the triggers, the dark nights of the soul, you know, forcing them to release all of these old karmic cycles and wounds. I was on a group webinar on 2/2, actually. And a woman was talking about, this is where I learned a lot of information about the timelines, but I learned it in a way that I was able to explain it and verbalize it as well to you, which I discussed in those first videos about, we have the 3D timeline and the 5D timeline, the lower timeline, the ascension timeline. And she also talked about the parallel lives and parallel versions of ourselves that we're also clearing. But the reason why I'm discussing this, the main thing that it informed me about, that connected the dots with everything that I was hearing from people and then from the reading as well, is that we are at a time right now where that bifurcation of the timelines is intensifying and is becoming more and more and more clear. Like, you're really going to see the difference between the people who are on the lower timeline and the people who are on the higher timeline. You may or may not get along with them, but you're going to see the difference much more clearly, because it's just unavoidable. And anywhere where you need to cut cords and cut connections, not really cut connections, but cut the karmic cycles and remove the contracts that are pulling you down to the lower timeline. Spirit is pushing us through that. So that's what has the entire reading, that is the main overall theme, is that you are at that time right now in history, in your personal lives, and in your collective planetary life and state in history right now, where you're in that vice, and Spirit is applying the pressure and forcing out what is no longer necessary, what is no longer part of your path, forcing the culling and the cutting off of, think of it like a scythe. There's a scythe coming in, and it is cutting out and cutting out. You're having psychic surgery, and they're cutting out everything that is no longer needed. And if you still have a lot there that needs to be removed, you're feeling it. You're purging it, and you're feeling it, okay? So the strong emphasis on connecting and integrating with your higher self and your intuition, letting the little angel on your shoulder and your higher self lead, and no longer listening to the little devil or your ego center. So any amount of being in resistance, your ego center is being like silenced and cut out and removed. Stop overthinking, stop over worrying, trust in your inner knowing, trust in your inner knowing, and allow yourself to go through this process. Each of these cards had a lot more in depth. If you recall, if you watched, I channeled a whole lot. As I went through each of these cards, I channeled tons of information and had it all. I had a lot of it written down and I channeled on the spot. So I'm giving you a really quick summary here. but yeah, trust your inner knowing. Go back and watch if you want all the details. But get to work on your inner work for your healing and for releasing all of that lower 3D stuff so that you can be aligned with your highest timeline. Now, these three cards, Uranus, Saturn, and the Grand Cross Provoker. These were the strongest cards here talking about this period right now. That the towers are coming in, Saturn is shaking things up, chaos is happening in your life wherever necessary, and not just in your life, in the world as a whole, because that whole part 1, part 2 was largely in depth about what's happening in the world also, not just in your individual personal lives. But in any capacity, whether it's in your life, in your family, with your friends, in your community, and nationally and globally, Spirit is coming in to shake things up and to literally like knock down, destroy, and crumble anything that is necessary. And I'm actually having a specific thought process come to mind right now that is what I'm going to repeat to emphasize that overall message. This is not simply about shadow work or lessons that you need to finish, karmic cycles you need to complete. This is the complete tearing down and destruction of your former set of beliefs and principles about how life should be. This is the complete stripping away and removal of the 3D conditioning and the old 3D reality. That is the difference between these two timelines. Leaving behind the old 3D reality and fully embarking on the new Earth ascension timeline. Destroying the foundations of what you thought you were and what you thought life meant to rebuild them from the spiritual perspective, individually, and then extending out from that collectively. So that is why this is a process that takes time, but it's also accelerating as well. And you can see that just from looking at the world around you. I mean, look at everything that's happened since 2020. 2020 alone was one of those years that I remember every month was like, what now? What now? What? Weren't there like murder hornets or something like that? Like literally every month was like, and every year has been like that to some extent, like these like massive amounts of changes happening in the world. And I can't even believe how quickly time has flown since then. It was already 2025. And if you recall from the first two videos, I told you how Jesus has told me that there will be significant changes in the world by 2030. Well, it's in the process of happening. So that's what those cards are here to tell you, that this is a pivotal time for this. And if you feel like hell because you're going through a dark night of the soul or these major towers and purging and all that stuff, that's why. It's the destruction of your former 3D life and self, your ego death, to prepare you for what's next. And that's where you need to focus on the 5th house and Jupiter and really making yourself happy, healing, focusing on your life purpose and soul purpose paths, and reaping the rewards of doing all of this hard work. Remember the Capricorn too, dig in and do the hard work. And there will be success and victory at the end. That is even more so promised to those who have the most struggles and the most adversity getting through it. But you will reap the rewards in the hard work. You just have to take this time to follow your spiritual guidance from your spirit team and your higher self, and take the right steps for yourself, for your soul journey, and for aligning with your highest timeline and your ascension timeline. And that will naturally line up with your union timeline with your twin flame. But you can't worry too much about everybody else around you, because everyone has their own soul journeys and everybody is following their paths how they need to. Okay, so that's our recap. Let's let's do the last of it here. Okay. I think I'll start with the Akashic Records. So I just asked Spirit, okay, well, where's the collective at? What do you want to talk to them about? Now, this is not going to apply to every single twin flame out there, okay? I assume that Spirit is guiding whoever is meant to listen to me to watch these videos. So this can also be considered a little bit of a recap because every twin flame journey is pretty similar in the patterns and phases that they go through. So first we have paths unknown. You guys, especially those who are in that Uranus, Saturn, Grand Cross energy, you might be looking at like your life and the world and be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go, what to do right now. There's multiple paths available to you though. If you can see there, you just can't see them all super clearly. Spirit is trying to help you gain the clarity that you need in order to see them through, to see them clearly, excuse me. If you recall in the 222 meditation that I talked about, we absorbed that fluorescent blue light frequency for divine truth, for being able to see clearly, to gain clarity on your individual paths and soul journeys, and to gain clarity of the big picture overall. So try not to overly stress or overthink while you are in this stage of trying to figure out what your next steps are, what you're going to do. And also try not to focus on over planning either, because you need to remember that you are going to be guided in the right ways, and you just need to go with the flow and trust your spiritual guidance. Overthinking and over planning is more likely to lead to making the wrong decisions and also having the choices that you made disrupted by whatever the universe has aligned, and that's going to come in and shake things up and knock things down. So don't overthink and don't overstress. Focus on tuning into your higher self and your intuition and allowing that to lead, okay? There are still karmic situations at play for many, and that's represented here with the views of the ego in the chess game. The views of the ego, these karmic individuals, these karmic situations, and this does not only have to be your twin flame, okay? This can be in your life too. Karmics do not have to be romantic partners. They can be family, they can be friends, they can be bosses or work situations. They can be staying in a job that's not right for you. These are situations or people who are not serving your best interest or your highest good. Some of these people might be outright using you and taking advantage of you, or be toxic and manipulative, or just simply like using you for their own means and not caring about you or what's best for you. And the situations, if you look at it from the situation perspective, it can be about like these situations are simply not aligned with your highest timeline anymore. They're not aligned with your soul path, and they're holding you back, and they're not serving your best interests. So you need to walk away from them. Those people are not going to give you up on their own. And those situations, they're just situations. What can they do? It's up to you to make the choice. So you need to walk away from anything like this. Or if it's a person or people that you can't walk away from, like family, then you need to set boundaries. You need to set boundaries for yourself so that you can live the life that's right for you without being compromised by them. The chess game represents that these situations are tricky, and they require strategy in order to navigate. That makes sense with the situations, like I just said, where you can't completely walk away. It can also be in karmic relationships where there's kids involved, so you have to be careful of how you go about doing it. But either the person involved is deceptive and manipulative and tricky, so you have to go about things in a similar way, even though it's not coming from a bad place, but in order to protect yourself. So you have to handle things quietly, secretly, and strategically in order to navigate your way out of the situation. Or you just need to be very careful about how you go about things and manage the different boundaries and whatnot. So whether this is you, follow the steps that you need to take in order to do this. And if it's your twin flame, trust that they will be guided to do so by their own spirit guides and spirit team. It will come about in a way that is what's best for your twin and for everyone involved, for them to learn their lessons, for them to conquer their struggles, to overcome their inner wounds, and to regain and establish their own sovereignty. Like, you can't force them to do that. They have to overcome that themselves. You can do healing work for them, both yourself and working with a healer that will help them be able to do that, will help them gain that strength more quickly, and to heal their self-worth wounds and heal their solar plexus to gain that sovereignty and confidence and strength. But it's still something that they have to achieve it themselves as well. So you can help them by in all the ways that you can, and by giving them all the spiritual tools that they need, and then they have to take those final steps across the finishing line. Okay, so it's important to understand that you can't force it to happen how you want it to. You can just simply work with the process and help the process along. Oh, so as all of this, I know I already showed you, but as all of this plays out, there are going to be people, both people and spirits and situations that are coming in trying to create obstacles and cause drama and just mess with you. But you need to like tune this out, not focus on it. You know, deal with it however necessary, and focus on staying connected to your intuition and your higher self, staying balanced and in alignment, and not allowing yourself to be thrown off by all of this drama and obstacles that are trying to mess with you. The dark, remember I talked about this, the dark is intentionally trying to take people off their paths and trying to knock them off of their ascension paths and prevent unions and prevent ascension. Though the dark is going to cause things to happen, is going to affect karmic partners or throw entities at you or whatever. Of course, there's soul contracts involved with all of that as well. So it will be, if that's the case, it will be teaching you something specific, or it'll be a past life you need to clear out and release the energies connecting you to negative lower timelines and negative wounds and experiences that would go along with all that calling that needs to happen. Like, if there's stuff that needs to be dealt with, it's going to come up now to get your attention so that you address it spiritually however needed, especially when it comes to healing past life stuff. But whatever it is, it's going to come in. Don't let it rattle you. Don't let it throw you off. Stay centered, stay connected to your higher self, and take the steps that you need to take, okay? We literally have here 3 kings. The King of Forces, the King of Keys, and the King of Roses, which is like the King of Wands, the King of Pentacles, and the King of Cups in tarot. So this, to me, because it's the kings, Spirit is like really emphasizing of believe in your twin flame. Believe in your divine masculine. Doesn't matter what gender they are, okay? Believe in your divine masculine and trust them to get through this process. A lot of divine feminines, they can't see or know what's happening in their twin flames world. You know, some are not in as good communication as others, or even those who are in good communication. Sometimes the divine masculines are not telling them things. They're keeping secrets because they don't want to tell their divine feminine until they're 100% ready. So they're working on things on their end, but they're keeping it to themselves until they can be all in. You know, there's various reasons why they could be doing that, usually more dependent on the individual situations. But anyway, in any case, even if you don't know what's going on, you can't see things clearly, if you're in a void and you feel like you're free falling and you have no idea what's going on and you just have to trust, Spirit's asking you to have blind faith. Well, Spirit is reassuring you that your divine masculines will get through this. They will find their way. You can trust and believe in them. The King of Forces, the King of Forces, your divine masculine is going to step into their power, step into their sovereignty. Figure out how to feel and connect to their energy in that organic spiritual way that empowers them and that helps them build success in the world and build success in that like fundamental 3D way that connects to the King of Keys, and that like, so like this is the financial success, but this is also like, I can't even think of the right word. I still think of it in a 3D way in like the material world, but like it, oh, the achievements and the recognition. There you go. So they are going to step into that king energy and establish the successes and victories for themselves that are going to build up their security and financial stability and abundance. It's going to build up their strength and confidence and sovereignty. And this is all going to combine to help them move forward in their individual paths and in like conquering their goals and their dreams, and therefore in coming forward to you and being ready to offer their heart to you and offer union to you. Okay. I love how, well, this king is also very connected to his higher self and in tune with his intuition and his true authentic self. He's no longer operating from the ego center either. So you will see those shifts and changes in your twin flame as they're healing and evolving. This king is on his way home to his queen. And I love that the actual reciprocal card, the Queen of Keys, is the queen is standing on the terrace of this castle off in the distance, and she can see him out in the distance on his way home to her. So I just love that symbolism represented here. And then this King of Roses just out, like he is literally, he has roses in his hand and he is coming forward to his divine feminine, to his queen, ready to offer his heart and be all in. So this is also a union card. So Spirit really wants you to trust that they're going to get there. You don't need to worry. All of the purging and releasing and confusion that you might be working through right now, or you've worked through in the past, it's all worth it. It's all in the process of coming together. I think another reason why we have the 3 kings is because of, there is a group that are here. They're ready. Like there might be a group that's still stuck in those lower energies, but there's also a group that they're in the king energy. They're ready to go. They're ready to move forward, and they're about to move forward. And even if that's not you, trust that they're going to get there and all of your wishes are going to be fulfilled. Okay. If you're a twin flame or a twin flame master, which if you don't know the difference of the different types of twin flames, I have channeled about this and spoken about this in that same video from October 2023 that I referred to in the other videos. You can go back there and watch that video, and I explain all about the different types of twin flames in the Twin Flame Mastery Program. But anyway, twin flames and twin flame masters are 100% guaranteed for union in this lifetime, and you are on the ascension path. Even if you're still struggling to fully align with it, you will get there, okay? And your wishes will be fulfilled, and it is a promise from Spirit, okay? Remember how in the other videos I felt like a fairy was tickling my nose and I couldn't stop itching it in the second video? Like for this one, this hair will not stop like messing with the side of my face. And it's also annoying me now too. Okay, anyway. Oracle of the 7 energies. I wanted to know what energies are the twin flames working through right now. And this is the last bit of the reading and the guidance from Spirit right now. So, and I wasn't going to refer to the book, but I decided to go ahead and refer to it because I want to, sometimes more is revealed, and I want to make sure I'm also not forgetting anything. So we have first exposed and revealed. This is a solar plexus card. We actually have 2 solar plexus cards. So a lot of work in that area right now. Exposed and revealed is about healing shame, letting go of imposter syndrome, letting go of self-condemnation, freeing yourself from past unresolved wounds, and focusing on healing self-worth. So it makes complete sense with the purging that is happening right now as all of the 3D is being forced out of you, that many of you would be going through this. It doesn't matter even. I don't think this is divine feminine or divine masculine. I think it's everyone. It's all of you. I mean, not 100% every single person, but it can be either side is what I mean. Some people might have already worked through this, but it doesn't matter which side you're on. So this is a huge aspect of the energies right now and what you're being put through forced to release so that you can fully step into your power, which is what the royal you speaks to, which is the second solar plexus card. What are we showing? Traveling itch. The royal you speaks to stepping into your sovereignty, like I've been talking about here, gaining more self-confidence, self-ownership, self-awareness, empowerment, understanding and taking responsibility for and accepting your feelings and actions, no longer allowing outside influences to push you out of alignment with your soul truths. So that majorly goes along with, oh, it's not at the top anymore, but that majorly goes along with what we talked about from the Black Moon astrology deck, the moon card, connecting with your higher self, integrating your higher self. But this is from that solar plexus aspect. This is from like the third eye, the crown chakra. This is from the solar plexus. So it's a full body experience, all chakras. You are being integrated with your higher self. And the more you embody your higher self, the more you come into higher self-awareness and self-ownership and empowerment. So this is a beautiful, amazing process. Literally, like, because I talked about that, now they're like tickling me all over my face. My God. I'm gonna kill them. Okay, so next we have Birds of a Feather. And this was the one that made me decide to definitely look at the book for these, because something stood out to me that I had never noticed before. So next we have Birds of a Feather, which is a heart chakra card. And it is about connecting with your soul tribe. We talked about that in the Black Moon astrology deck too. Connecting with our soul family and our soul groups and soul tribe, and working with and being around the people who are meant to be a support for us. Now, some of them are support, some of them are we are clearing up karmic cycles with, and then of course our twin flame is the most important person who's part of this. But there's another important message here. Understanding the concept of we before me. And I can see that with both in your twin flame journey and collectively. In your twin flame journey, part of your healing process is recognizing that this is not about me, my wants and my needs. This is about what is best for both of us. And holding that unconditional love for your twin, holding space for them while they work through their emotional needs and physical needs and everything that they are going through in order to come into inner union as well, and to be ready for union with you, and not allowing that self-centered mindset to interfere. I have an analogy coming to mind. Somebody once told me, think about like you're getting ready for a date, and you wouldn't want your date to show up before you're ready. So it's not just you. You want to be ready for your twin, and you want your twin to be ready for you. You don't want them to show up at your door like half dressed because they're not ready yet. Then they're just going to leave again, go home to get the rest of their clothes and whatnot. So you both need to be ready, and you need to be patient and hold space for your twin and understanding while they go through their side of the process and what is necessary for them and their healing and their preparation and their sovereignty and inner union, just all of the above. Okay. And then for collectively looking at like what is best for the union timeline for creating new earth and the bigger picture perspective of it all, and focusing on that in your group, community, collective mindset and activities. And now we have Endless Possibilities, which is a third eye chakra card. Unlimited potential, moving beyond limiting beliefs and the filter of an unhealed past, using your awareness to discern what is possible, and having the courage to leap even beyond that. So, I mean, this is like the star card to me. This is trusting that you're on the right path, seeing the bigger picture, and not letting limiting beliefs hold you back anymore. All those limiting beliefs are those inner wounds that have plagued you all throughout your life from the 3D perspective, and you're just healing them, putting them to bed, not allowing them to affect you anymore, releasing the unhealed past, and having the courage in blind faith to trust spirit, surrender, detach, and take a leap to follow your dreams and manifest the reality that you desire. So if you're not here, spirit is pushing you here. And if you are here, don't be afraid to take that leap now, okay? Now we have 2 crown chakra cards. Beyond the Ordinary first. If I can turn the page, my thumb was stuck. Beyond the Ordinary. The ineffable part of the mystical and ineffable part of life. Trusting in the invisible world without understanding that. I talk about that a lot in the first 2 videos. Detaching and trusting even though you can't see or understand everything going on around you. Recognizing that some things cannot be known in advance and are not meant to be grasped intellectually. That goes into what I was even talking about at the beginning of this one, that you can ask spirit all you want, but you're only going to be told what you are meant to know at that time. And if you try and demand other answers, you might not get accurate ones, because you are not meant to know everything. And being humans intellectually, we just can't even understand everything from the spiritual level. The awareness that everything is as it should be, even if it doesn't make sense. Almost every single sentence on this card is just so important and so integral in your spiritual awakening process, your twin flame journey, your spiritual rebirth. I want to read them all one more time, to be honest. Trusting in spirit and the invisible world, even without understanding it. Understanding that not everything can be known in advance, and you're not meant to grasp everything intellectually. You have to take a leap of faith there sometimes. Being aware that everything is as it should be, even if it doesn't make sense. Remember this other quote from the reading, from the first 2 videos. I think I said it in the second one. Okay, the quote is from a spirit chat for a client. You are guiding him even if or when you don't realize it. Expect your guides to keep you both on track. There are never any mistakes. Don't doubt the plan. Stay in alignment. All is well. Remember what I said? That other quote that I remember because Spirit has said it so much. Everything is happening perfectly. You don't need to worry. There are never any mistakes. So that goes back to this. Everything is as it should be, even if it doesn't make sense. Even if your life feels like it's in disarray, or the world feels like it's in disarray, there is a divine genius at work. The Uranus card with the genius. There's a divine genius, divine design plan at work. You just need to trust God and trust spirit and let it play out, whether it's in your individual path or the bigger picture, what's happening globally. It's all happening the way it is for a reason. There's a bigger plan. Trust it. Go with it. Go with the flow. Don't be in resistance. Don't freak out. Let it happen how it needs to. Then we have the divine matrix. The knowledge that we are all divine beings, part of a greater tapestry, weaving our dreams into the fabric of reality. Synchronicity, learning to trust the way that things are unfolding. So that really goes along with Beyond the Ordinary quite well. But yeah, it's that understanding that we're part of the divine matrix, that we are not solely our individual paths. Our individual lives and journeys is integrated into the greater whole, and we all play a role and we all play a part in the divine plan. And it's all coming together and it's all playing out exactly how it needs to. Learning to trust the way that things unfold and that everything is exactly how it should be, even if it doesn't make sense. There are never any mistakes. Everything is happening perfectly. So Spirit is really emphasizing those messages here. And I think that it's extra important for those who are stuck in that purging state right now, who are going through the dark night of the soul right now, because they are struggling with what decisions to make, what paths to take, paths unknown. And Spirit is telling you, stop worrying, stop overthinking, stop stressing. Everything is as it should be. Trust how it's unfolding and take the leap of faith, okay? Lastly, we have a powerful, actually, sorry, there's 2 more cards. A powerful move. Now, normally, I like to point out how this is the only action card in this deck, and this powerful move coming out, the last card is the Union card. Can I just tell you, out of the entire deck, The cards that you got here at the end are the action card and the union card. So more reassurance from Spirit that action and forward movement is going to happen to bring you into union with your twin flame. Trust in it. But coming back to the action card for a second. Besides the obvious, trust that your twin flame is going to take action accordingly at the right time in divine timing to move forward in your twin flame journey. There was a sentence when I checked the book. Do I want to reference the book? There was a sentence that caught my attention. Making choices from an empowered and thoughtful place, making positive change, putting into motion your intention. This is not just about your masculine. Yes, trust that your masculine is going to make effort with you, is going to follow through on their intentions towards you and make authentic, heart-centered, empowered choices for their lives that bring them to you. But this is also about you. Remember, I talked about with the fifth house card. You need to focus on your life right now, following your soul path, following your life purpose paths, bringing joy and happiness into your life, making every day, making yourself feel whole and complete and happy every day, doing the things that you love and living your life to the fullest, bringing meaning into your life without sitting around waiting for your twin flame, even though you are waiting for them. But don't behave in that way. Don't behave as if you're sitting around waiting for them. This is the same thing. Take authentic, heart-centered, empowered, thoughtful choices and actions for yourself in your daily life to lead the life that you truly desire and manifest your dreams into reality now. You're not waiting for your twin flame to do that. You're doing that now, because in union, that is a solar plexus card too, of course, by the way. In union, in the sacral chakra card, you are going to have a healthy, harmonious, interdependent partnership and collaboration, commitment, and togetherness and unity, but that healthy, harmonious, interdependent relationship. And that means that you are whole, complete, independent, successful, happy, and your twin flame is all of that as well. Whole, complete, independent, successful, happy. And you choose to combine and merge your lives together and merge your souls together and continue on in life together, but you still have your independent sovereignty as well, and your independent joy and happiness, and you've created all of that for yourself, and you are not dependent on the other person for it. And that is coming into inner union first. So you come into that place within, you heal yourself to where you don't need someone else to feel fulfilled, and you are happy, whole, and healthy. And then you come into union with your twin, and you get to continue down that road together, fully committed for the remainder of eternity, right? And especially if we're ascending and aging is changing and the world is changing and we don't even know what it's all going to look like. Yeah, for eternity. But anyway, so Spirit is here to give you that reassurance one more time. Trust it, but don't get caught up in the drama right now. Don't get caught up in the negative energy that's purging. Don't get caught up in the karmic cycles and contracts and all of that are being cut off. Trust, take the leap of faith, know that there's a higher, bigger plan at place, and see all of the endless possibilities, and cut off the ego center, silence it, cut off the little devils, cut off the negative thoughts, and just allow yourself to be fully aligned with the highest whole healed version of yourself and your highest timeline. And that actually reminds me, it just popped into my head. I actually have, it's not in my shop because I can't put it in my Etsy shop because of their policy changes. So it will be going into my shop on my website as I get it set up. You can contact me in the meantime to order it, but I have some kind of new healing. It's a union activation and merging with your highest healed self and highest timeline. So with that, you will, hold on a second. My child is texting me and she's speaking Shakespearean. Let me finish this so I can answer her. Okay. With this healing, you will receive a meditation to listen to yourself in which it is actually a very beautiful and elaborate guided meditation going through a life and relationship review with your twin flame, culminating with a spiritual wedding ceremony as well. And the ascended masters and angels and more are all there to bless each of you and bestow gifts on you. I don't remember exactly what's in it when I recorded it and channeled it, but it's really, really beautiful. And that's the union activation part of it. It's activating your union timeline. And then on my end, I am going to do a healing for you both, merging your current wounded selves, ego center 4D selves, with your higher healed 5D versions of yourselves, merging them together to help you heal and continue or complete, hopefully complete. Although I shouldn't say complete. Are we all ever really completely done with our healing, especially while we're still here on Earth? But you know what I mean. Merging your wounded selves with your higher healed versions of yourselves and shifting you onto your higher union timeline. Okay. So it's that two-part. First, for each individual is for the divine feminine and the divine masculine, merging you merging you into the highest healed versions of yourselves, and then taking you together. After I do each of you individually, I bring you into the same cocoon and take your cocoon and shift you onto your higher union timeline as well. Okay. So you can contact me to order that healing as well if you would like that. And it will help you do exactly what I just told you to do at the end, to focus on staying in your higher balanced energy, the highest version of yourself, and so you can stay on your highest timeline. And whenever anything comes up to be purged and released that's pulling you to the lower timeline, just focus on doing whatever you need to do, healing whatever you need to heal, and getting back into that balanced state. Okay. Okay. That's it. That's everything. The end of part 3. And I will talk to you guys more soon. I'm going to be focused on being more attentive to posting regularly now that I finally completed this. But let me know if you have any questions. If you want to get the 222 meditation, if you want to sign up for the Equinox meditation, those we can see what those are going to be. Remember, the October and 11/11 one were the Kundalini activation, and now the 222 was the integrating the divine truth frequency and receiving the ultraviolet rays to balance our energies overall, and then crossing over the purple trinity bridge to the astral realm to meet with the ascended masters and our spirit guides. And we're going to be receiving special amulets, and they're going to be creating special items for us on our individual journeys in the Equinox one. So I'm super excited about that. So anyway, I discussed that in the first video towards the beginning. So let me know if you want to get those, any of them that I just mentioned, and let me know if you want the union activation or if there's anything else, a reading, a twin flame healing, anything like that. Reach out to me. Some of it's in my shop, but I'm in the process of setting up my new shop since Etsy is kicking services off. So just message me for any details on anything and I can get back to you guys. Okay. I think that's it. And I do need to go. My daughter's waiting for me, sending me Shakespearean messages. So I will talk to you later.